The Detroit Lions got some really, really good news, and it's in a couple different categories, and we're going to talk all about it. If you didn't know already, we are going to be going live for the NFL draft. Make sure you join us 8 o'clock Thursday, 2 weeks from now. We'll be able to just have a lot of fun and see what the Lions are going to pick up, see what other teams get as well, obviously, and really have fun with it. If you've never joined us for that, 8 o'clock on next Thursday. Okay, here's the good news, and we really haven't had a chance to talk about this yet. But Jared Goff sat down in a podcast and really talked openly about his time in Detroit so far and what he expects. And what you take away from that is a couple really good things. That the Lions have a mature, mentally stable dude that's just going into his prime quarterback. And I think we forget that. I think we overlook that. You have to have a quarterback in this league. We all know. But when you look at quarterbacks, there's about 10 quarterbacks that are good that almost, any team would take. After that, that's it. And we have one of those quarterbacks. And so the good news is that you've got a guy in Goff that loves Detroit, loves the state of the franchise, loves being here. He said it's the the greatest thing that ever happened to me for my career. And we'll get into some more good news as well. But when he was 26, and that's what's crazy about this, is like, oh, Goff, he is what he is. It's like, this dude's 26. He's only been in the league 4 years or, whatever it was. He gets traded, and it was he's being shipped off and sent to a place to die, essentially, was what a lot of people think it was. And I was never going to allow that to happen. I'm fortunate enough to be around a lot of good coaches and players in Detroit who supported me and helped reach my potential. And he said, hey, I thought about this for a lot. Like, what happened? When did it go sour? How did it all go this way? And he said that lasted for quite some time. But very soon after, there was a feeling of opportunity in Detroit. And so the crazy thing is we heard them talk about, hey, we're on the ground floor. We can really do something. And the next thing you know, they're in the NFC Championship game. So it's not a lot of there's talk, but then they're backing it up each step of the way. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. And he said, in hindsight, it's the greatest thing that could ever happen to me for my career and my development as a human. And I think that's the big piece right there. And again, we'll get into, if you haven't seen it by now, he goes into talking about the Detroit media and how negative they are. And I just love that, right? Because he's clear-headed. He's easy to talk to. He can speak well. He's a great leader. He's a great face of the franchise. It's hard to find a good quarterback. We went through this on a video a couple days ago, and we looked at the first round quarterbacks taken in the last 20 years. And you've got guys like Christian Ponder, Jameis Winston. There's a ton. It's majority of guys that just don't make it. And so the point is, it's hard to find a quarterback. It's hard to find a franchise quarterback that you can have. And if you look at the quarterbacks that are going in this draft, one out of those top four is going to really make it. It's crazy to think that, but that's just the way it is. So if you look at it, you've got, Caleb Williams. He's got bust written all over him. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. It's like one of those guys will be good. The rest, it's like, it just isn't working, right? It's so crazy. And we've seen that in these last few drafts where guys just aren't working. You see it with Justin Fields, the guy at the Patriots, who's just like, these guys are just, it's hard to find quarterbacks, and the Lions have one. It's so huge. And so that's the first good news. Hearing Jared Goff talk, every time I hear him talk in a non-scripted way like that, like off schedule where he's just talking, sitting on the couch talking, it's like, man, this guy. I was the first to be like, I don't know about him, but clearly he's good, and the off the field stuff's really good as well. Now, the other good news, the mock drafts keep pushing really good players down to 29. So Enos Rakestraw is one that people thought was going to go in the upper 20s. He's down here now. Kool-Aid McKinstry is right here. Chop Robinson. You keep seeing these guys. McConkey. We don't really need him, but like he's even rising up. But if you look into the second round, is where we've got Darius Robinson, Xavier Worthy at 33, Lassiter, Tavondre Sweat, Peyton Willis, and Edrin Cooper. So if you don't know Edrin Cooper, just as an example, he was a linebacker led Texas A&M in sacks, tackles, pass breakups. Like he does it all. So you just got this freak athlete sitting here at 43. So the Lions are going to be just fine. You go to draft history of players taken 29th overall, and I'll just kind of leave this here so you can look at it. But if you go back to basically the last 20 years, you've got Nick Barnett. Yep. Like solid. Nick Mangold, Marlon Jackson. There's some Harrison Smith, Cordell Cordero Patterson. Sorry. Njoku. There's players at 29, and we've got the general manager to find those players. And I think for me, it's thinking, man, all the way back at 29. Like the draft's been so exciting for the Lions fans forever because we're picking in the top 10. And deep down we don't like it. We hate it because it just says you had a bad season and you're trying to do it again. It's like, all right, you got to nail this pick. This is where you want to be picking every year, and you want a good GM that can find these really good players that are just sprinkled in here at 29. I mean, I'd say half of these players are like, yep, that's a starting level good player that played in this league for a long time at pick 29. It's the first round still. You got to nail it. You got to nail pick 1 and 2, and it doesn't matter where you're at because even at the top, it's hard. It's hard to find these blue chip players. Even you just don't know what you're going to get. So excited for that as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments as the Lions now move closer to the draft. And what's fun about it now is we've fully seen multiple years of Brad Holmes knocking the draft out of the park. And so his last one especially was just like insane. Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, like Jahmyr Gibbs is just like, are you kidding me? So if you're a Lions fan, you're really excited about what he might be able to do, considering the Lions are picking at 29. They don't have a ton of picks. Like, in the last few years, it was like 2 1s, 2 3s. Don't have that this year, but Brad Holmes should be able to knock this out of the park. And the best part is the Lions could take the field right now with the current roster and be in great shape. In years past, it was always like, man, we gotta nail this draft. Like you see teams like the Chargers, the Commanders. I mean, they just got holes, literal holes in their roster where they need help. Lions don't have that at all. And so it's like, man, let's get better in certain areas, but you don't have to worry about filling needs. You can just go out there, draft the best player available, and be just fine. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Excited for the Lions as they get closer to the NFL draft. Make sure you join us live for that right here on YouTube, and we'll see all of you on the next one.